Hello, my name is Chilkuri Sushil Rao and I am a journalist. I work for the Times of India newspaper in Hyderabad. My designation is Editor Special Reports. This year, that is 2022, would be my 34th year in journalism. I got into the profession soon after my degree, but I went on to do my journalism course from Osmania University. I have a master's degree in communication and journalism from the Department of Communication Journalism, Osmania University. Journalism definitely is an unconventional profession, I would say, at least when I chose to get into journalism, when I got into the profession in 1988. But let me dwell a little bit on how I chose to get into the profession. There's nobody in my family or somebody who I knew so well that was in journalism, but very consciously, I would say, I decided to become a journalist when I was in class 6th, or let's say class 7th, when I was a student of St. Patrick's High School, Secunderabad. So my choices were very clear, and my choices were that I had only one choice. With a single-minded devotion, I decided to get into journalism. I knew very well for a fact that if you wanted to be an English journalist, you could do your BA English literature and get into the profession. But I personally took it up as a challenge. After my school, in my intermediate, I took MPC as a group. It wouldn't have really helped me to be a journalist, but I took it up as a challenge and took MPC, not trying to run away from something called mathematics, which most people fear. And in my degree, I did my BCom, where a BA literature would have been a natural choice. So all the while, I was equipping myself, understanding things that were not directly related to journalism, because in journalism, you have to know everything. And then after my BCom, since I was passionate about getting into journalism, I got into an evening paper. And then while I was working, I got into Osmania University Arts College. After getting a seat, I did my BCJ, MCJ, and have continued in the profession. See, journalism as a career is not something very, very common. In fact, I would say that somebody who has a passion, who has a very keen desire, gets into journalism, and it is more out of conviction that one chooses to get into this profession. And I, for one, am that kind of a person where my intention was to become a journalist. Now, journalism is simply not about writing. It's about this career. This profession is about bringing certain changes in society. So you need to have both a positive bent of mind and also a mind which will help you identify certain things that are going wrong in the society. So this career has a meaning. This career, I would say, has some kind of intention to bring about a change. And as I mentioned, in the 3 decades that I've been in the profession, I have been able to make use of my conviction through my profession, bring about certain changes that were necessary. I wouldn't make a tall claim saying that it was only because of me, because several people come together when there is certain piece of information in public domain and act upon it to bring about social change. And I'm very glad that I've been part of that through different stories that I've written and bring them into public knowledge. When I was making a decision about becoming a journalist, there wasn't proper guidance, there wasn't enough guidance, and there were not too many choices also one had to pursue it, because there were limited opportunities where you could qualify yourself educationally to become a journalist. Simply speaking, there was a time, that is more than 3 decades ago, where you could make a decision about getting into journalism only after your degree. In my instance, I can say that after I finished my BCom, I got into Osmania University. Big entrance exam, thousands of people vie for a seat just for those 40 seats that you have, and you get into it after you clear your entrance examination. So that sets the ball rolling, and you qualify yourself educationally to become a journalist. But mentally, you will have to first be a journalist, because I said this comes out of conviction. You qualify yourself for that profession and learn the basics on how to present news. But times have changed, as I said. Now you no longer make the choice about getting into journalism after your degree. You can do it right away after your intermediate itself, because you have several colleges offering you journalism courses, and that prepares you for your future. It's a natural choice. So we've had students coming for on-the-field experience. So the choice is made right at the intermediate stage itself, and that doesn't necessarily have to be a final choice of getting into journalism, because journalism as a subject, when it is taught in degree colleges now, they have different streams that are related to journalism. So one can branch out into related professions also, and that's a great thing that's happening today. Some years ago, or at least until a few years ago, you had to go with what I would now like to describe as traditional media. See, the first thing that crops up in your mind when you say traditional media is the media that is used in the rural areas to get through to people, to convey a message, like say the tom-tom or the traditional arts. But in my opinion, the definition of traditional media in a few decades has changed. So I would definitely say that traditional media now is newspapers. I would include television also. And the new media is what I feel is all about journalism now. And let's use a larger term. Instead of calling it journalism, you just might want to call it communication, because journalism is all about communicating, telling a story with a purpose. And now with the emergence of new media in the last few years, let me tell you, I'm very specifically and consciously using the word new media and not social media, because new media is all about the emerging technologies which are used to put out information in public domain. So you have very specific areas where you can get into with the kind of media that you are using, and you're equipping yourself with those skills to cater to a very certain section. For example, if you want to talk about business, you have an audience ready and you talk about business or related fields to that section of a crowd which follows business news. Similarly, sports also. You train yourself, you equip yourself, and through that new media that is intended only for that particular crowd, you're able to reach. So journalism no longer is being jack of all, master of none. No, you will have to definitely specialize, decide what you want to do, and aim at your particular audience. So you have that wide variety of choice now.